98.9 Northwest FM, this is CarTorque with Matty J. Another Tuesday night, and more car related topics as per usual. We are your car enthusiast show for the northwestern side of the community. Joined by James from Avis Movies. What's going on?
How you going, mate?
And Alan, what's going on, man?
I'm just happy to be back.
It's been a few weeks since you've been on.
Yes, it has. I'm missing the show.
Missing the show. How is the WRX?
It's doing okay.
Doing alright? Any latest news on it?
Nothing so far. I've been, on the grind, working hard at uni, making some money, and now I need to decide what to spend the money on, which is always a good predicament to be in, I think.
Well, yeah, it is.
Except there's not enough money for everything, so you got to pick what you want first. Maybe an exhaust or some rims, but I don't know.
You do need that. Just that exhaust rumble,
those
unequal length headers make.
And there are so many options on the market as well, where I could get possibly the same effect for $900 that I would get for $2,000.
Yeah.
And if I can, I would want to go to cheaper options.
You were going to go turbo back, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'll tell you what you do. You get a piece of cardboard and a peg, and you plug it to your rims.
Right.
I'm making a joke about. Did you never do that to your bike?
No.
Alan
doesn't sound sick.
How does Alan not know? Okay, what we used to do when we were kids?
Let everyone at home know. When I was a young child, I had a pink BMX.
Hey,
it was the coolest BMX around.
Yeah, that's it.
So
what we used to do when we were kids? This is an old trick from I don't know the 40s.
Straight style.
So you get a piece of cardboard, a peg, like a laundry peg. And you
pick to one of the spokes.
Yeah, and then when you ride your bike and the spokes hit it goes. It sounds like you got a motor. It's amazing.
It sounds like fun. I can't say I've ever done that.
I don't think it'd work on the WRX though. It's just a suggestion.
Hit the brake calipers and probably cause a crash.
Flip the car.
Just catch fire. No, well, yeah, definitely go for a turbo back, and then obviously because you got your intake, which is going on good. It's making pretty silly turbo sounds, which is awesome.
Exactly, pretty semi-legal sounds.
Oh, well, it's always good for a giggle. And once you get that, and you're obviously going to go for STI turbo, then it's time for the tuning, I'm guessing. So that'll be the next step.
Yeah, and I just got to get an intercooler that looks stock, but it isn't stock.
Just
because the EPA only lets you have one item.
One air mod.
Yeah,
but I guess I don't know what the deal is with that. If you put genuine parts on there, they're like for example, it's a Subaru part that's just off a better model.
Yeah, if I were to put the STI intercooler on, they wouldn't be able to say anything. It's just usually if I'm going to get an STI intercooler, it'd probably be second hand, and if I can get a Process West or something similar for the same price, I'd probably go for that Process 100%. West. Maybe peel off the sticker.
STI. ST's Process West. Yeah, that's definitely a good option. What about you, James? How's the Mighty Estina going?
Yeah, pretty good. It's still alive.
Still barely.
Just barely. I mean, it's running. It's got a few cracks and dents a lot of dents. But yeah, no, it's like I said on other shows, like it's Mazda, so it'll just keep running.
Yeah.
Until I pour sugar in the gas tank.
How is your battle with this big spider in your?
Yeah,
your
so
mirror?
I mean, I'm assuming it's a small spider because it's hard to find, right?
Yeah.
And he keeps really getting in the nooks and crannies. You can't say crannies on its own. It sounds weird. You have to say nooks and crannies.
Nooks and crannies, yeah.
You can say nooks on its own. Anyway, so
it's funny that, eh? I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, so he I mentioned on the show last week, like there's a spider. He keeps making a web over the passenger side rearview mirror. I can't see. Every morning I clean it off, and next day it's back there again. I've sprayed a hose in the mirror, in the engine bay, where the A-frame is. I keep wiping it off. It keeps coming back, and my dad's like, "Why don't you just spray it with insect surface spray?" And he's like, I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even think it's so simple. So and unfortunately it was raining, so I'm like, I can't do it when it's raining. It's wet everywhere. It's not going to work. So I waited. The sun came out, and I just sprayed the crap out of the mirror, and I sprayed in the door frame everywhere, and then it seems to have worked. So
See if you finally
killed an entire panel with
I'm
spiders.
a little sad because I don't have my spider buddy keep annoying me, but at the same time now I can see the mirror. Although now the mirror is all foggy because of the
the spray,
and I now have to clean the mirror. I've cleaned it once and it's gone foggy again. So I don't know now. I'm cursed.
You probably damaged the mirror.
It's the curse. I've probably damaged.
Usually you have to be careful with insect spray. Some of them do melt plastic.
Yeah, I've probably done that.
It's actually a technique some people use to clear up the headlights again.
Oh right,
The
really?
spray,
Insect spray.
Yeah, certain insect sprays with certain ingredients they'll actually melt through plastic.
Jesus
And
Christ.
personally, I think there's better ways.
As the stuff I gave you that one time.
The sandpaper and
Doing it properly.
And re-clear coating is probably, I'd say, one of the most important things.
It is.
If you don't want to keep doing it again and again, because once you do sand it down, if you've taken off like a lot of the protection, the UV protection from the lens, it's gone yellow again.
Yeah.
Very quickly. So.
And like I get a lot of people coming to my place of work, and they be like, "Oh, you sold us this product, and it's it's gone yellow about like 2 months later." I'm like, "Well, did you clear it? Did you you basically protect it from happening again?" No. It specifically says to do it, and I would have mentioned it to you, but anyway, we won't go there. Well, look, James, lucky you didn't happen when you were driving, because if you were driving, you see a spider come down and you would have just probably crashed and run into.
I hope he hasn't moved to the other side. Maybe he's going to start on the driver's side mirror.
I had a period where both of my mirrors were getting wet, and I just let it happen. I was like, just you do what you do.
You get used to it, and it becomes part of the car, like part of the.
Becomes part of the family.
Yeah.
And when you overtake, you just have to just hope. Change the lanes, just like somebody might be there, but
But I can't tell.
The spider will let me know if someone's coming up in my blind spot.
It'll just jump out. Look, we're going to go to our first break of the night. We're having a Eurovision theme night tonight, boys, because of Eurovision.
Eurovision or Eurobeat?
Eurovision. I'll have to play a Eurobeat version for our initiative fans at home. Eurobeat intensifies, but we'll definitely. Eurovision was on this week, and I'm a bit of a Eurovision tragic. Watch it every year, which is kind of
tragic.
It's kind of a bit sad to say, but
I watch it every year.
I'm personally of the opinion that Australia's not in Europe, so
You know what though?
We're honorary members.
We're honorary members because we love it that much, and we've been there more times than people think. They're like, oh, they didn't know they were Australian.
It'd be really funny if the UK no longer gets invited to Eurovision and then
Australia does. Look, we're going to go to our first song. This is probably my favourite Eurovision song. It's just called Euphoria by Loreen. I don't know if you guys have heard this one. This one in 2012, I think it did. This song beat a group of grannies from Russia.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was the best.
The rapping grannies?
They were just like, it was like they were just singing really slow. They were putting like cookies in the oven. They had like a stage oven. It was hilarious. And then all of a sudden the beat kicks in and they just start not raving, but they're trying to rave. So that was super cute. That was actually, believe it or not, Russia's highest ever score. But they're actually a real group though in their town. Yeah, and the money they got from you gotta laugh. The money they got from Eurovision and from the records they sold, they put it they made a church for their town. So it was really cute, really cute. Gotta love the old grandmas. But this is the song I lost to, and Euphoria is a fantastic song. Actually,
which country is this from?
Sweden.
Oh, okay.
Sweden kills Eurovision. Like they're I mean ABBA, and stuff like that. So this is Loreen with Eurovision with Euphoria. We'll be right back after this.
Northwest FM.
We're going up. Best song. Classic Eurovision. That's going back. That's Loreen with Euphoria. She actually hated that song the first time she heard it. When she went to sing it, I was watching the top 40 Eurovision songs of all time, and she said they played it. She's like, "No, I am not. I am not doing this." And then she did her own thing, and it won Eurovision. Heading back into tonight's topic. So, just we're going to talk about cars that are hidden gems. Like hidden gems as in their performance bargains, one, and two that are really good cars that people just don't really know about, and they're not as famous as like your Skylines and your Evos and stuff like that. So, to me, I kind of like cars like this that are quick and like interesting, but not many people know about. Like they kind of have that sleeper feel.
They may not look as flashy as they are performance-wise.
Yeah, but
and it's always good to like if you are going to a car show to drive down with something that's very unique.
Definitely.
And like if you want something performance, a lot of times you're in that cookie cutter situation where you can like buy a Mustang. You know,
run into crowds.
You know, just buying or before they discontinue them, buy an Evo or an STI or you know one of our V8s.
Yep.
So rather than be in that kind of cookie cutter situation, it's nice to be able to get something that's still high on the performance end, but not every second person has in the parking lot. So.
Well, I mean, like having said that, like every second person got an X06 turbo, but not many people have an F6. That's why I went for that.
I understand.
You understand? You don't see that.
And then you try and get a bumper over your bar.
Yeah, it's $4,500 later, and you cannot find them. That's the only reason why I regret buying parts. But okay, so I've got a few on my list that I was going to talk about. I mean, I've talked about this one particular car I'm going to talk about first many times in this show, because it is such an underappreciated car for what it is. Prices they start at about like $8,000 and they go onwards. I mean, like 16 would be like the best one in the country. Mazda 6 MPS. All-wheel drive, turbo, 4-cylinder. Jeremy Clarkson reckons it's one of the best cars that he's driven. It's like under £100,000. He actually said it when he test drove it. Fantastic. I've driven one. Brilliant car. I don't understand how no one likes these cars.
Excuse my ignorance, but what's James from Established? Is his MPS?
He's got the Mazda 3.
His Mazda 3 MPS.
Oh, you're talking about the Mazda 6.
The Mazda 6 is the bigger like the more sedan style one.
Because I feel like they're both very good cars, but the Mazda 3 MPS has definitely been embraced more
100%.
by the market.
Yeah.
Because it's a girl-looking car and it's got performance.
It's a hot hatchback. That's why. And people know what hot hatchbacks are. People respect hot hatchbacks, but no one kind of respects a Mazda 6.
Yeah.
And
it's just that very much a sensible kind of just regular driving car, or regular large car or medium car. Sorry, it should be in that range roughly.
It is.
Yeah, like there's this. You go there, you take your passengers. Nothing special. It looks nice, but you never think that it's a beast.
Like they are a very quick car. I test drove one a while back. Before we tried to get my mother a car, I was trying to get her into an MPS. She enjoyed it though, believe it or not. But she's like probably not for me, because the one we test drove had a couple of modifications, and so I had like a front mount and other things. Had an exhaust.
230 kilowatts to the wheels, was it?
It was pretty quick. Yeah, it was tuned and stuff. So it was a fast car. It was actually even funnier seeing my mum give it the beans, and I'm all sitting in the back. I'm like, okay, this is actually kind of scary. We're doing a really high number here. But Mazda 6 MPS, where people don't know the party piece of this car is that it's all-wheel drive. So whereas the Mazda 3 is front-wheel drive,
yeah.
the Mazda 6 MPS was all-wheel drive, and the Mazda 6 MPS only came out in the G, I think it was the GD model. So for example, like Julian showed that we've had on the show before. It's a shame because it was so widely regarded as a fantastic car to drive, and it is a fantastic car to drive. You can actually feel like the whole. It's weird. Have you ever driven a car with a Halidex kind of all-wheel drive system?
No, I wouldn't say I have.
Like it's different to the Rex, because the Rex is biased to the rear, yeah. So this is like when the front starts to lose grip, it's like you can feel it work, and it shifts all power to the back, and you can kick it into a slide. It's an odd feeling, but it's quite sensational once you're on the limit.
Is this another situation though where the maximum amount of power that will go to the rear is 50%?
I think it is on those.
Similar to the Audi TT, wasn't
Audi TTs and stuff. Some of them, for example, can send pretty much all the power to the rear. Yeah. So it depends on the car. But I know with the Mazda 6 MPS, I'm pretty sure 50 was the max it'll do. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I am wrong, text in 044 7777 989 or send us a message on our Facebook page. But they're one of those cars that just having that experience of knowing where the front end's about to go and give it the beans, and then the feel the rear end come around. It's to feel that whole system work in an all-wheel drive car. It's quite odd. I mean, with all-wheel drive, you think you got all the grip in the world, but when that
until you don't.
Until you don't. Yeah, it's exactly right. But it's just weird though, because we can transfer the weight and the power real easy in them, whereas in like a more rear-wheel drive bias like yours, it's grip, and then oh crap. So like you can, as I said, you can get them real cheap, and they're very underappreciated for what they are. And they do a lot of some of the ones have done a lot of Ks, but I mean, you get leather, you get you get a lot of options in them. Some even came with sat nav. A really nice car, underappreciated car.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, that's a good car for the list.
And it doesn't. It just looks like a standard Mazda 6. Like unless you know what you're looking at, like with the chunky.
Oh, okay, so you can't tell.
Yeah, it has like the MPS badge. And were there any trim variations? I feel there might have been.
It
like
was
the outer trim.
Front and rear bars are different.
Yeah.
And it's got a high rise bonnet to accommodate for the intercooler, and it's got like a little ducktail spoiler. That's pretty much all that identifies.
Like anyone that wasn't into cars probably
yeah.
wouldn't bat an eyelid.
No.
To saw it drive by.
But people that are into cars say, "Oh, that's an MPS. That's pretty cool." So they are definitely a car that's that are fantastic value for money, and just super underappreciated. Like that's why I keep talking about them. And I've always wanted a Mazda 6 MPS. I might get one when they get a bit cheaper, and I can put the laser and club bridge by that time. But anyway, that's the first one on my list. What have you got there, Alan?
The first one I was like, my cars. I'm not 100% sure on their popularity.
Yeah.
Some of them may be more popular, but the Mitsubishi Galant.
VR4?
VR4, yes. Yeah. The performance version.
Yes.
With the all-wheel drive and the 206 kilowatts. That's legal.
The gentleman's agreement.
The gentleman's agreement, 206 kilowatts. So, there's definitely more than that. Just like when you think of any kind of Mitsubishi performance, you'll think of an Evo.
You think Evo, you think Eclipse.
Eclipse, yeah.
But we didn't get the Eclipse here, but you still think Eclipse, and you think pretty much 3000 GT or GTO. But you don't really think of the Galant.
You don't, and which is why I guess it's one of those secret performance cars, and very unique. I've very rarely seen Galants around here.
Yeah, you don't say. Actually, James' mum had a Galant.
Yeah, a 90. I want to say 93, but I'm not. I think it
was about that. Yeah, it wasn't a VR4 though. Yeah. It was still the V6, but it wasn't a VR4.
And I think the photo here, the 8th generation is probably what, in my opinion, looks the best. Very, very sharp styling for what it was. And being, the four-door sedan, I think in Japan is available as a wagon, maybe? So...
the wagon version of that was called the Lignum.
Okay.
So you'll probably see a few Lignums around. Lignums are cool. They're like a Caldina and a Stagia kind of thing as well. Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely cool car.
And just... I guess you have the V6, you have the turbo, you have the power, all-wheel drive, and a four-door sedan again. So I guess it's something similar to an MPS Mazda.
It is, yeah.
It's just a bit older.
Yeah.
And for that reason, again, it's just, you can rock up to a car meet, it'd be very unique there.
Very unique, yeah.
You could drive around every day and no one would bat an eyelid. Like, it just looks very... It looks a bit sharp, but it doesn't look incredibly like, just look at me, I'm into a burnout.
It doesn't have, here's my car, watch me limit a bash all the way out at the exit. Even the older versions of them, were they called the VR4 as well? They might have been called the VR4. Like this,
I think the VR4
the previous gen, and they had a 4G63. They pretty much had an Evo engine, and they still had all-wheel drive. They were really cool. But both the Galant VR4s I've always kind of liked. Yeah, so they're one of those cars that are you're right. Like a Mazda 6 MPS, kind of same principle, but just underappreciated.
Yeah. And was the VR4 available in Australia for sale, or
the first gen was, I believe, like the first one they sold here was because the first one was I think a homologated car for rallying, yeah. So and that was the one with the 4G63, which is an Evo engine. So I've actually been in one of those. They're quite quick actually, because they don't weigh much. They get down the road. But their parts are for those the really old ones are really hard to find. And the one I actually went in was pretty riced out. It had like a lime green Fast and Furious paint job.
Oh, okay.
It was the same color as the Eclipse. Believe it or not.
Cool.
It was cool, but the car was beat. And my mechanic had put a new engine in it and a new gearbox. It went like the clappers though. It was insanely fast, but it was just an old car that was just beat. So if you can find a nice one of those, that'd be even cooler. And eligible for club bridge, which we know is a good thing with the Merc. I'll move on to another. I was going to say, okay, look, the Ford AU we know is a very
See, already laughing. No, I knew you were going to mention this car, and I'll allow it.
there's two. Yeah, that. The Ford A, okay, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the Ford AU Falcon, and for those of you abroad, especially in the States, to our listeners, hi Dave and hi everyone else. The Ford AU
is the ugliest piece of crap you've ever seen in your life.
It grosses you, okay.
It's Australian design, and it's, like somebody had, drunk, 3 bottles of rum, and then puked on, a piece of paper and said, I think that's a car.
That's it right there.
And we'll take it.
Believe it or not, though, it was at the time the interior and stuff was classified. Actually, that car won awards for design, and we look back at it and we're like, how the hell did that thing win awards? But it did. Yeah, Deb's looking at it now.
I looked at a picture because I wasn't sure which one. Yeah, but
the ugly one.
The ugly one.
The ugly one.
But having said that, the most reliable Falcon, to be honest with you, because they actually finally got the single overhead cam engine right. They sorted out the head gasket issues that plague the E series engines. But they were just ugly as crap, and Ford really never recovered after that. They did a bit with the B series, but with the FG never recovered. But two models particularly in the AU series: a Series 3 XR8 220, which had a 220 kilowatt 5-litre Windsor. If you can find one of those in a 5-speed with the Tickford body kit and everything, a really nice car. But even better than that, Ford TS50 and TE50s. Is that what you think I was going to talk about?
I was just thinking you were generally going to throw in the AU.
Well,
not particularly. Yeah.
Well, it is a very unappreciated car. That was probably still today the car he's laughing already, but it's the best car. It's the most. How do I phrase this? It's the most Australian built car ever because it was as rugged for the conditions as it could be. It's simple.
It's the most bogan car.
It is pretty much, yeah. If you go to the Outback, you just see 4-wheel drives and AU Falcons. It's legit though because they just do not die. But those two models in particular, the TS50, the Series 3 T3, and an AU XR8 220 get them both to the 5-speed. Really, really, really cool cars. Underappreciated cars.
I looked it up. The one with the circular lights is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the AU. That's the XR8 220.
Yeah.
So that's they were cool. They kind of redeemed the ugliness slightly. Yeah, that one. That's a TS50.
So you look at that rear spoiler and tell me.
It's very V8 supercar.
That's acceptable, is it?
It's like it's a
you wouldn't lean down to the seat as you were driving by, so people wouldn't see you driving.
It looks like a V8 supercar. I mean, come on. They hold their value surprisingly well. For an AU Falcon, they do.
It looks like a mum's version of a V8 supercar.
Look, it still today divides opinions, but the AU Falcon was in those two trims a very good car.
Was the AU Falcon the one we saw a YouTube video of somebody pouring in water from a hose into the
inside
into the oil?
No, that was a BA.
That was a BA. Yeah.
And it still ran. Geez, the good old Ford 6-cylinder engine.
And that's real Australian engineering right there.
Look, Falcons everyone knows are tough as nails. That's why they're cabs. That's why they're
runs on VB.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm done, man. I'm walking out of the studio right now over this. But yeah, they do run on VB. They run on they run on fumes of anything really. But they're back to basics, bread and butter engineering, and they work surprisingly well.
Well, you said they were cabs. Aren't cabs old cop cars?
Well, cabs and cop cars usually are the same period of the same car. Except cabs usually just had rubber floors and vinyl interiors to soak up the puke.
But are you saying cop cars used AUs at
Yeah, they
point?
did. Yeah, at their time they used XR8s, they used Fortes, they equal the Commodores and the Camrys at their time. So.
Yeah,
and believe it or not, they used Rexes as well.
Yeah, and the Chasers at the time were of that caliber as well.
Yeah.
So when you think of an AU Falcon trying to do a chase right now,
it's not going to go well.
It's not going to go well. But at that time, that was just
what they had.
That was what they had, and that's also, I guess, what was available to the consumers. I mean, if somebody's going to race a Ferrari against them, yes, they're going to get away. But that'll happen even today against a lot of the highway patrol.
Unless you have a Supra.
Yeah. But they were what they were for the time.
Well, my pick of the two, if you've got the money. TS and TE50s are still around the 20-25 grand mark because they're quite expensive to get one of those. But if you've got about 10-12 grand laying around it and you want something that's holding value quite well. And it's 220. 220 kilowatts. Didn't have the full 250 the Stroker TS series had, but cool cars. What's next on your list? Did you have anything else, or you just have the
other car I probably want to talk about mainly? I'll talk a little bit about Civics later on. Because you know it. Like when you think of Nissan, they've got so many good cars.
Yeah, they do.
Even just if you're not talking about Skylines or S15s or other Silvias, you can talk about even Pulsars.
Yeah,
I mean they're great cars.
GDIRs are very underappreciated.
Yeah. But 300 ZX.
Yeah, man. Yeah, turbo one has to be a turbo, and it has to be. Well, they come in two versions: 2+2 or just the 2-seater. So I'd go for the 2-seater one because it's a shorter wheelbase, but. Dude, they are so underloved, bro. Like I saw a really nice one the other day. It was freaking nice, and it reminded me how good they're a good-looking car.
I think that's part of the issue, though. I've seldom seen one in good condition.
They all have it.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of S15 or other Silvers in good condition. Generally, S15s are usually the best kept. They're the newest as well.
Yeah.
So. Skylines are always generally in good condition. R33s are usually most bashed. They just are.
They just are. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
I've very rarely seen a good condition 300 ZX. It's got cracked up bumpers, smoking. I mean, the person inside doesn't look very flashy.
You know why though? Because they are one of those cars that are parts are just impossible to find, and two, if anything goes wrong with them, they're a throwaway car. They are so expensive to work on and so expensive to get parts for. It's people just run them into the ground, and it's a shame because they're such a beautiful car.
Yeah, and the more you run them into the ground, the less there are available. So,
I mean, I saw this this one post a while back on Facebook, and to do the spark plugs on a turbo, one of those, it's like a 6-hour job. Nissan quotes. Have you seen how packed the engine bay is in one of those?
No.
The inlet manifold goes over the rocker covers.
Yeah.
So it's just it looks like the biggest pain in the ass job I've ever seen. I'm just like, who the hell would design an engine like that?
And my mechanic complains about changing spark plugs on a Rexy.
Yeah, well, not as bad. Not as bad. Still not fun, but not as bad.
As long as you've got tiny hands, the Rex is pretty doable.
Yeah, it is pretty doable actually. But yeah,
but very rarely do you find mechanics with tiny hands.
Well, dude, 300s, man. Well, we should start a campaign, Save the 300, because the 300 was a damn good car and very underappreciated. A lot of people are doing LS swaps, just to keep the body shape around because the engine wise they just can't afford to repair them.
Just the general design, like you can tell it's very aerodynamic as well.
Yeah.
Like a lot of cars, you would just see they'd sacrifice the aerodynamics for, I guess, that nice look you get. But this car is very sleek. It is showing some age these days, but
I reckon it's a timeless car.
It's very good looking. I remember seeing one at like a petrol pump when I was probably around 12, something like that. And I was just very intrigued as to what it was. Just
to prove how good that car still looks today. That car was originally from the 80s. I think it was 89 they came out. Do you know what the year was? The first lot of them was 80. Was 99.9% sure they were like 89 or something. Like they were late 80s, but they're a car that is just
like 83 to 89 was the Z31.
And the Series 2 was late 89 onwards. Yeah, so they're a good looking car, and it's a shame that they're going by the wayside. Look, we'll continue this right after this. We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to go to another song, but we'll be right back after this. You're back at 98.9 Northwest FM. This is CarTorque with Mary J. That was Manzuro, I can't say his last name, Heroes. That was the original song of Eurovision a few years ago. So, back on to topics of cars that are underappreciated, hidden gems that are in amongst a crowded society of Priuses. James knows how much I love the Prius. So, my next one on the list I was going to talk about, which my mate just actually kind of bought. He actually went to Brisbane and bought it and picked it up there and drove it back. And when he told me about it, I was like, oh my god, this is freaking amazing. He bought a 2006 Audi S8. So you'd be like, oh, it's an Audi. This has got a 5.2 litre Lamborghini Gallardo V10 engine. And it sounds insane. Like, it's dumb. It's so good. And the fact that he bought it for I'm not going to say the exact price, but under $30,000 is, with decent Ks, The only thing I'm worried about though, if anything goes wrong, that car he has to pretty much throw it away because built of all sorts of Lamborghini parts, and we know how much parts to fix.
Parts will cost him more than how much he
paid for the car. Yeah, essentially. So
it's a nice car, man.
It is a very nice car. I know you like your 80s, James, but like it's super nice inside, super luxury, and
it's just a nice executive feel, and then you have a V10 from a supercar.
Yeah,
just put in the bonnet. And it's like, yeah, you can handle that. That'll be fine.
Why not? Why not?
It just sounds absurd.
Apparently, their excuse for that car to put the V10 in there was because at that time they had their RS series and like the RS5 and 6. Or I think that they had V8s, and the previous gen S8 had a V8. It's like, oh well, we can't have our super exec having a V8. He needs to have something better. So we'll give him a V10. And they gave him the V10 over Lamborghini Gallardo, which is unbelievably pointless, but still incredibly cool. And it's a party piece. You can say, "Oh, I've got a Lambo." Oh, me too. Well, not really, but it's.
I've got the engine.
I've got the engine of one. But yeah, that's a pretty cool car. Another couple I was going to talk about was the TRD Orion, which is you don't really hear about. They went really good, supercharged versions of that sweet little V6 that they got, 3.5 litre V6. TRD was kind of like TRD still exists, but like in Australia, that would like their answer to FPV and HSV, and they didn't really sell too well. But the cars were made to quite a good standard, and if you can find one they're worth nothing now. They're a really good buy, and it's a piece of a car that you can only get in Australia as well.
And that was rather unfortunate because it's pretty much, I'm not being sexist, but it's pretty much the dad car where the dad can do family things, but then also
have a bit of fun.
When they're just on the track or just when they're on their own. And it did both things, but unfortunately we had a market that already had two beasts that
had that market void filled.
And unfortunately, I'm all about some competition in the market and some choice, but unfortunately, what happened didn't sell as well, and now it's it's a good buy now.
It's a very good buy now.
Yeah.
If I had the money, I was in the market, something like that, that'd be definitely on top of my list. Thing is, though, when they marketed it, because it was only because they didn't make it all-wheel drive, they kept it front-wheel drive. It's a lot of power to put on the front wheels, and apparently torque still was a bit of an issue. But the fact that they were marketing against like FPV and HSV when the car had the same output as like an XR6 Turbo, which was a lot cheaper.
That's where the ideal market would have sat,
yeah,
against an SS or an XR6 Turbo, something around there.
Yeah.
But I guess costs, they had to recoup costs as well. And if they did make it all-wheel drive as well, then again,
it would have been a whole different kettle of fish. And it would have been 10 times better, the car. They could have run probably a lot more power in them because they're a strong engine and they're only running a low boost. So.
And they could have actually, I guess, stepped up the competition to the FPVs and HSVs as well.
They could have, because they were offering something different as in all-wheel drive, and whereas the big muscle cars have always been big powered rear-wheel drive cars, which would have mixed it up a little bit.
Which kind of gives a little excitement for when you think about it. The Stinger, that's a V6.
Yes.
It's not supercharged, it's turbocharged.
Supercharged, yeah.
But they're getting the all-wheel drive variant for the high power version. So it's just, it gives a bit of excitement because that's what we could have seen with the Orion, and we might see that even though we don't have that competition anymore.
But having said that, I don't think they're going to give us the all-wheel drive version here.
So we'll have 270
kilowatts rear-wheel drive, which is pretty much essentially the same as what my F6 has.
Oh.
I'm not going to complain.
Rear-wheel drive still more acceptable. You're not running the torque steer.
But it would have been nice to have all-wheel drive just for that.
Definitely would have.
Yeah,
definitely would.
Because that's where pretty much everything's going these days. That's got a bit of power. Like you look at the AMGs like the C43s. That's all drive. And turbo as well. So it would have made a real cool, cheaper alternative to one of those cars, and still go like stink. Which is going to be interesting when it comes out because they're going to be targeting all the people that have left. All the people that have Ford and Holden have left behind, really, and Toyota, I should say, with their large car market. So Kia's going to come in and be like, buy us.
The funniest part is where I believe somebody in Holden still reckons people will be interested in buying the, what is it?
The Insignia?
The Opel Insignia. Because it's not a Holden Insignia. I'm irrationally angry at that, but, because at least
they should have killed the Commodore name, simple as that.
Yeah, with the Ford, they're like, okay, Falcon's dying, you'll get the Mondeo, you can also have a Mustang.
Yeah.
because I can't afford to buy 2 cars, and especially not the Mustang. But it's still nice that once I do start, I guess, saving up, I can have that option to buy a nice performance car.
Yeah.
That I guess an XR8 or an F6 kind of left behind for me.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Holden, it's just you can have this front wheel drive sedan that's kind of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
And it's very disappointing. If there's a Camaro here, I would have a totally different opinion.
Oh yeah.
But there isn't, and so I'm angry.
Are they keeping the Holden name, or everything's going to be?
No, they're keeping the Holden name, which is okay. Like I got nothing wrong with that, but I've got what's wrong with it is they're calling the new Insignia a Commodore.
Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong, is the Commodore was originally based on an Opel anyway, but this is it's finishing its life as a fully Australian built car kind of thing, and design and stuff. This is just a complete European car, just slapping on a badge Commodore.
Yeah.
Which is even the first Commodore that they released. It looked while it might have looked like the Opels overseas, it was completely re-engineered for the Australian conditions, and it looked a bit different, and had all different things. So it kind of really defeats the purpose of calling it a Commodore. Like
cashing in on the name.
They are. Well, essentially that's what they're doing.
And also importantly, the general dimensions of the Insignia are considerably smaller.
Well, it's a middle-sized car. It's not a large car.
And look, I'm a fat guy. If I have a family of 4 or 5 that would fit in a Commodore comfortably, you can't buy the new Commodore or the Insignia, as it should probably be called. You can't buy them and expect the same thing. You will have people getting squished. Yeah. Like these cars fit the market in the first place because I guess we like more room.
But see, that's the thing, Alan.
They're not selling anymore either. That's the thing.
Yeah, they're not selling anymore. So that's the reason they've been like, oh, we'll see you later. Yeah. So like,
what about the fat man that needs to sit down?
Well, you've got an SUV, Alan. You've got.
See, you can't have a large car. You need to buy a truck.
Yeah. Yeah, SUVs are just like a mum's soccer car.
Yeah.
They are though. Like
they've lost all.
No offense to mums, but yeah, they are.
They've lost all their meanness or whatever they used to be. Yeah.
Because even the Territory is obviously going down as well because I was building the Falcon platform for the Everest.
But the Territory was a full size SUV, and like it was it's a big car. Whereas like the Everest is a big car. The Everest is based on a Ranger underpinnings.
Yeah.
But see, Ford is smart. They've got an SUV for like every range. So like you got your big SUV there, and your smaller SUVs for just to put the kids in and yada yada yada. But it's just leaving a void without people like that big executive saloon or sedan car. And like I guess people are they're going to have to go Euro because the Europeans stick with it. They stick with the 5 Series. They stick with the E-Class in like a bigger sedan. Like Insignia is pretty much a C-Class size. But do you really want to fork out 150 grand for just a base model E-Class? It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for what was really just a family car.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm not representative of the market, so I always got to remember that.
Well, look, we're going to go to our last break and come back and finish up the quiz. I'll give one more card before we go. The Peugeot. I don't talk about French cars often, and I do not like French cars.
You like the Citroen?
Well, the Citroen DS and the Citroen 2 Series, like they're classics, like they're cool cars. But like the Peugeots have always kind of been on and off. Like the Peugeot 205 GTI, like the original Peugeot 205 GTI was sick, especially in a 1.9 trim. This was the later version in the 90s, which was called the 306 GTI. It's the forgotten GTI, but it had a crap load of power. It had a big 2-litre, 124 kilowatt engine. No one knows about it. They're like worth nothing these days. I don't know how good they are in the reliability terms, but they were pretty fast cars. So keep an eye out if you want something small and cheap and possibly kind of good. I'm gonna have to speak to someone that's actually owned one of those, but from what I've heard, all accounts they're actually a pretty cool little car. We're gonna go to our last song of the night. I'll come back and we'll do the quiz. We're going to go to a song by Dami Im, Aussie Dami, which is really cool. She represented us last year. She actually surprisingly almost won, but this song is a belter of a song. She lost to a song pretty much that was, I guess,
she would have won if it wasn't for the politics.
Politics, yeah, with Russia and all that stuff. So this is her song called "Sound of Silence." This is a ballad. It's a power ballad. So this is Dami Im with "Sound of Silence." That was Dami Im with the Sound of Silence. Her second placing song last year. She should have won. It's a conspiracy. We love you, Dami. We're almost out of time, but we're going to quickly jump to the quiz. So, Alan, you ready for this?
As ready as I'll ever be.
That's all.
The Eurobeat quiz.
Question 1. What does it mean to have a cross-flow head?
A cross-flow head.
Yeah.
Is that like that bread twist shape they have on the top of like V engines? I don't know.
You can skip it.
We'll skip it for now. I'll try and come up with words to describe it.
Question 2. The Kia Stinger has how many doors? You should get this one. We've talked about this before.
4?
Yeah, it's a 4-door. Question 3. The previous Gen 4 GT, you know, the supercar that was in the States?
Yes.
Yes. How many litres in displacement was it?
Previous generation 4 GT. Oh man, I want to say 5.4, but I also want to say 5.
Well, I'll give you a hint. It's one of those two.
Of course it is. Let's go with the 5. No.
Oh, it's 5.4.
I deserve half a point for that now.
Alright, I'll give you half a point because you did mention it. I'll pay that, but it's you know...
You're too lenient.
Oh, I'm too nice, aren't I?
It's not because I technically mentioned the right answer.
But you didn't pick it.
There could have been so many different... what were we looking at? Displacements. Because it's 6.2. Just like, you know...
A Raptor. Question 4. True or false? Supercars announced a new race series today.
True.
It is true. They announced like a Formula 5000 kind of thing. Question 5. What car did Ford trial here in the late 90s as a potential replacement for the Falcon?
Was it the... as a replacement for the Falcon? I was going to say the Probe, but that was a replacement, or alleged replacement for the Mustang, wasn't it? And then everyone hated it.
Everyone hated it. The Probe wasn't a bad car though. That's what people... Yeah, anyway, it isn't the Probe.
I've seen a Probe in my time, and it was terrible. No, I want to say the Mondeo.
The Taurus.
Taurus. Oh, damn it.
Which is, I've actually seen some left-hand drive ones that have come from overseas recently. I mean, especially in SHO form, but we'll get to that next time. Question 6. The Holden Epica in 6-cylinder form had its cylinders arranged in what format?
I'm going to say a V format.
It was a straight 6.
Really?
Straight 6 front-wheel drive. It's super weird. Like, it's...
That sounds stupid. How do they fit a straight 6?
It's tight. If you look, it's freaking tight. Like, the transmission...
Somebody goes outside the studio. Sorry.
The transmission is, like, really tiny. And
okay.
The Epica wasn't an epic car, put it that way. Question 7. The Mazda BT50 shares its underpinnings with what car?
The Ford Ranger?
It does. Next question. Question 8. The Mazda MX-5 RF retractable fastback is only available with what size engine?
The 2-litre.
It is with the 2-litre, that's correct. Question 9. The new Mercedes GTS, which is a very sexy car, has what type of engine?
I've got no clue. If I was to take a guess, I'm going to say V8 bi-turbo.
It is, yeah.
That's just a Mercedes kind of thing to do these days.
Good guess. I saw one of those on the road the other day, and I was in the F6, and I'll get to that after the quiz.
You were in Mexico yesterday.
Mexico, yes. Question 10. What is a hot V turbo setup?
A hot V turbo setup.
Pretty much the car we just mentioned previously has that format, and it's becoming common with a lot of new turbocharged cars that have their engines in a V format.
Is that what they have the turbochargers between the V?
Between the banks, yeah.
Yeah.
On the top of the engine, which is really, really odd. But apparently it's better for efficiency and stuff. Good luck if you're trying to work on it, but yeah, anyway. So
no one works on cars anymore.
Oh, no. If something goes wrong, you replace the whole car.
I think there was a YouTube mechanic who was saying he was working on a customer's new BMW. There wasn't even a dipstick to measure the oil on.
You're kidding.
No, there was no dipstick.
It had... What?
You just drain the oil and fill it up.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow. Cost cutting. Sorry, cut. That's cutting of costs. That's just stupid. Anyway, we'll go back to the last question. Question 1. What does it mean to have a cross-flow head?
Cross-flow head. I feel like what I want to say is the entry for the air starts on the air intake starts on the opposite sides of a V engine. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say?
What are you trying to say? Are you saying that on a V engine, it's more kind of. If I say it, I'll just give away the answer.
Can you draw it, or is it harder to?
I'll give you a hint.
Yeah.
Actually, I can't give you a hint because I'll give it away. Basically, I'll give you half a point.
Okay.
Because you've kind of got it half right. So, what a crossflow? Would you take the half point, or would you want to go for the full cojones?
I don't think I can accurately word it, so I'll take the half point.
Okay, so what a crossflow head is we'll have intake on one side and exhaust on the other. On the other side of the bank of cylinders. So like what was before, like older cars usually got them on the one side, but when they're on opposite sides, it's called a crossflow.
Okay, I'll take the half point for that.
You'll take the half point
because I was actually thinking of that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including the 0.5, 7 out of 10. Not bad.
It's not bad. I was thinking I was going to do a lot worse this time. So.
That was a hard quiz, that one tonight. I am impressed. That was not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. Look, we're pretty much out of time tonight. But getting back to that GTS though, just before we go, I was in Mexico, and I use my private jet to ship my F6 everywhere I go. Geez, it's a nice car. I was on a road called. Actually, I can't even say the road. Mexico Boulevard. And I saw it, I'm like, oh my god, so I sped up to get next to it, and like the guy gave it like a massive rev. I'm like, oh, and he went, and he didn't speed or anything because we're in traffic. But the noise this thing made. Mercedes make good engines, and they make even dirtier sounds. So definitely, it's one of those cars that is on my new list of what I want to buy if I had $1 bazillion.
So it's good to hear that even with turbocharging, Mercedes hasn't. I mean, I'm assuming the sound changed to what it was originally. If it was a naturally aspirated V8,
it's not as good. It's
still nice. It's not a what do they call it, a DSG fart kind of.
Boom.
Yeah, I just you get tired of that after like the first 3 times. After that, it's just
annoying.
Yeah.
But it's just like my brother, and his car now, because he took off the blow-off valve, every gear, any RPM. So this was fun after about a week, and then now it's just like, oh my god, every time you get in the car, like he'll be changing it like 1500 RPM. It's so bad. Look, that's all we've got time for anyway. Tonight we've gone a few minutes over. Tune in next week, same time, 7 PM for CarTorque with Matty J. Like our Facebook page, CarTorque with Matty J. That's TORQUE with Matty J. If you missed any of our episodes, we've got our podcast up on Chat Engine and on iTunes as well. So we've got all our old episodes on there. So give them a listen, give them a like, give our page a share as well, which is always good. James, give your page a plug.
Man vs. Movies every Tuesday at 6 PM, 98.9 Northwest FM. Tune in before Matt's show and then stick around for his show CarTorque at 7.
He's always got good listening on his show, like talking about good movies. I'll be on your show next week. I'm talking about
John Wick next week finally comes out in Australia.
Which is I'm dying for this.
Oh man, it's gonna be so good.
So keep an eye out for that, and keep an eye out for Your Pleasure on a Monday night. That's at 6 PM with Dr. Rock, and on a Thursday night, the Thursday Waffle, his other show with his mate Fitzy. They always just tell dad jokes. It's a good laugh. It is a good show to listen to. So keep it locked here on 98.9 Northwest FM. In the meantime, this has been CarTorque with Matty J. Thanks for coming on, guys.
It's always a pleasure.
And I'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.
Bam. Wow. Back. My neck, Steve.